Welcome to Honest Whispers Preview to Sale. On this video I'll be previewing DC Comics Bishoujo Statue, Black Canary, 1/7 scale PVC statue. It was arranged by Shunya Yamashita, released by Kotobukiya back in October 2015. And this figure is approximately 9.5 inches tall. She is slightly elevated off the base. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it's closer to 10 inches. I'm going to go over 6 different categories to review this. First category is design, which basically covers the look, the concept, and the pose. And the pose on this, it's quite unique. She has one arm straight up in the air, left arm kind of bent upwards, and she is winking. That is one thing I need to point out. So basically, if you're familiar with the Bishoujo statue line, I mean, the best 2 words to describe it for me, and to simply put it, is basically cute and sexy. So with this, that definitely covers that. I mean, she does look pretty cute, sexy, and even cool. And I do mean cool just because of the way her costume is. Naturally, her costume is just straight out cool to me, with the crop jacket, the strapless leotard, at least on this version, rather than like a turtleneck, like a mock leotard. And then of course the fishnet stockings. And this fishnet stockings on this figure is one of the best I've seen ever on any figure. And usually it's hard to get it to look realistic on a small little figure, especially because the back seam tends to get all thick, clumpy, and really messy looking. But this one, and looking at, of course, this is a sample prototype picture, but looking at some other samples online, consistently it's pretty good. So definitely a huge high point in my opinion, at least for this figure, that you won't see with any other figures. Her base is kind of cool. It's a simple design but very unique. It's supposed to look like, well, ripples, like sound waves, because her power basically is, I guess the best way you could describe it is like sonic scream. So that kind of emulates who she is, and everything else thematically just matches up. Now, if there's any flaws or anything that I probably don't think it turned out as well as they hoped it would, I think is the way her eyes, the way she's winking. In certain angles it looks perfectly fine, but in another angle it just doesn't look symmetrical. It looks like her left eye is a little bit kind of slightly lower than the left, although from this camera angle actually looks good and matches up. So it's really hard to say. I think it could have looked a little better if maybe her left, the closed eye, was slightly higher, just to line it up a little bit better. Otherwise, I think both eyes open could have worked as well. So it's a give and take. I mean, it's not really a huge, I mean, I don't want to try to bring my opinion into these, but as I said, when I look at it in certain angles, it just seems a little offset, like either the left eye is a little too far off or a little bit lower than it should be. Otherwise, everything is great, near perfect. Therefore, I give the design score a near perfect 9 out of 10. Next category is sculpting. Sculpting pretty much covers the details, execution, and the quality of the molding. And as far as most Kotobukiya figures go, definitely high quality. They do mold separate pieces, usually in a color plastic that it's supposed to be, and then of course imprinted or painted separately and then assembled. So a lot of times you get very high quality sculpting. The only flaws with that, when so many pieces are molded separately, you might get some seam lines here and there. At least from here, really don't see any flaws at all. Everything looks great. I do love how the jacket, it just kind of brings a lot of not just realistic details, but it just seems to kind of bring it alive. Really makes the pose more dynamic than it really is, just because of the way the crop jacket's kind of flailing in the air. Also, her hair, very nicely done. A lot of nice details. Almost every strand, not every strand, but nice, I would say nice good sized strands. So it's not too thin or not too thick. And nice natural curls at the end. Of course, there's the prototype example. So for me, sculpting, at least from what I could see from the window box, I give it a perfect 10 out of 10. I don't see any flaws at all, and it's just really good details. Everything is proportionally right, and it just does look like, 2D come to life in a 3D statue format. Next category is colors. Colors basically covers the paint, accuracy of the colors, and the quality of the paint. And this one, at least for this variation of her costume, which is one of my favorite Black Canary costumes of all time, especially because I find it sexy and cool, just the way it's almost like the biker type look. At the same time, she's wearing leotard and fishnets, which is very sexy in my opinion. So going through other colors and details, the blonde color on this, it's a solid plastic color, so I like the way it looks. It really has a nice appeal to it, rather than making it slightly translucent. The eye imprinting, very nicely done. Everything from eyebrows, lipstick color, perfectly done. And as I said, I mean, fishnet isn't colors, it's actually a fabric material, but perfectly done. So it really does capture not necessarily the color, but the look of her down. So just everything about it, I don't see any flaws here at all. Again, mostly I might see some painting on maybe the zipper, which is like not bad. I mean, I don't see any flaws. It's good enough where it just does look natural. Her choker, that little ornament in the middle, that is hand painted. Otherwise, there really isn't much painting done. As far as the accuracy of the colors, it's dead on perfect. Therefore, I give the color score a rare, perfect 10 out of 10. Next category is packaging, and packaging, basically, this is a window box. Packaging, very nicely done. Of course, if you're familiar with the Bishoujo line, they're very consistent with the look of the boxes, and they're all always individualized. So the box shape and size. Well, not shape. Shape is always rectangular, of course. Sometimes a cube, but usually they're all different. They accommodate the actual figure, so the size will always be different from figure to figure. But the rest is very consistently the same. Like you would get the 3 windows, one main window on the front, one little cutout window, there you go, on the top, and then of course the standard you get on the side as well. You don't get a window on the right, which I like actually more than having another window there, because it just kind of showcases the original artwork that this statue is based upon. And of course you get the samples front and back shown in the back of the box with some preview of usually the next character that's going to come out on the line. And of course same format as far as where the labels and the titles and the names go. So when you see a Wonder Woman Bishoujo, she'll have her picture there, her name there, and probably this one, depending on the color, like a royal blue or maybe red, and everything else as far as the format goes, like this blue line, it'll be on other characters as well. So either way, I mean, this is like a prime perfect example of how boxes should be. You're able to see them, but at the same time, if I had any complaints about this box at all, would be the sturdiness of the box. A lot of times I have to go through 2-3 different sellers or stores just to find a near mint box or near mint condition box. And of course on the bottom, just like all others, you get the UPC code, all the details, and the company address and everything. So this window box packaging is an example of something that's high quality. So therefore I give it a perfect 10 out of 10. Next category is value. Value basically covers the price versus quality, original retail price versus aftermarket price. And although this has only been 3 years old, it does definitely have some value. Black Canary is, I would say, more on the slightly above average in popularity. She does tend to go up and down. She won't be, of course, as popular as like, you know, more mainstream characters like Wonder Woman, but at the same time, she is definitely more popular than characters like Raven. Although Raven, due to Teen Titans Go, her popularity is definitely on the rise. Either way, even if the character is popular or not, the statue itself, depending on how it looks and everything and how well it's executed, tends to sell on its own. This is one of the statues that did sell out pretty quick. I originally bought this at around $60, and it actually sold today for $80, and with shipping the total price comes to be $90. So definitely did have some profit in here, did have some increase. I could definitely see this statue continue to rise up in value. The only thing that might kind of stop it is if they come out with the second edition or second run of the statue, which they have with a couple other statues in the past, like Wonder Woman's first version, and then of course Psylocke. They had a second version, and also Power Girl recently had her second edition run. So this one, I give the value score a pretty good, solid, above average score. It's 7 out of 10. Finally, overall category, which basically accumulates the 5 prior categories: design, sculpture, colors, packaging, and value. And this one, to me, it's unfortunate that I didn't get to keep her or even display her, but definitely something I would easily, keep. I could even see myself in the buying one, maybe sometime, maybe long in the future. Otherwise, I mean, this is just, it is a very nice looking statue. And even if you're not a big fan of Black Canary, it just really looks good. And I think this is displayable, especially because they got the fishnet done right, pretty much in any angles. Design, look, everything about it is great. I give the overall score a very high 9 out of 10. So to recap, design 9 out of 10, sculpting 10 out of 10, colors 10 out of 10, packaging 10 out of 10, value 7 out of 10, and overall 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Until next time, eat your vitamins and read the Bible.